Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright, so the second video that I'm recording today, basically making a similar point. I'm gonna say the same thing that I said in the last video. We don't call them disingenuous Democrats for nothing, huh? Every single time Republicans have a valid talking point related to the failure of Democrat policies, Democrats love to pretend that it doesn't actually exist. It's just Republican propaganda. New York City Mayor Eric Adams loves doing this. Crime isn't actually up in New York City. That's just a talking point. Then they always point to homicides. They ignore every other crime on the list, which is skyrocketing. They point directly at homicides and say, see? Homicides are down, therefore crime is going down. I mean, even Don Lemon was honest enough to admit that fact.
I want to turn now and talk to you about something that, it was a big part of when you were running for Congress, and that's crime in New York City. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has announced that crime is up 23% this year, but shootings and homicides are down 17% and 12% respectively. What do you think, what steps can Congress take to address the spike in crime that we have seen nationwide? And also, was it actually crime actually portrayed as it actually is during the campaign? If you can speak to both of those, I'd appreciate it.
Crime is up 23%, but shootings and homicides are down. So you might not get shot, but you're certainly gonna get mugged at knife point. You might just get randomly, indiscriminately assaulted. Who knows, you might get pushed onto the subway tracks. Big deal. At least you're not getting shot. I cannot stand this leftist copium. I cannot stand this Democrat dishonesty, but it's the new strategy. We got a Gavin Newsom interview, one specific moment that we got to have a conversation about. Let's contrast what he's saying with, well, reality. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, the right-wing media boogeyman. It's all just a Republican conspiracy theory, huh?
So as you reflect on what you've learned here from talking to these legislators, are there different ways you're going to talk about issues like gun violence and the need for gun safety measures or abortion rights? Is there a messaging and language issue, or is it more you say the same thing to everybody and there's more people with you than you think?
The one thing I heard from everybody, including the caucus today, is they're so upset about being on the defensive. They're so upset about the messaging on the other side, the anger industry, the entertainment wing, particularly of the Republican Party, the surround sound on Fox with these, I don't even like saying his name, Tucker Carlson, or that other, the guy from there's just like, they're all the same. And One American News and Newsmax, and what they're doing to divide this country to, where illusion rules, not facts.
Do you occasionally turn on Fox prime time and see what happens?
No.
Just to see?
Not occasionally, every night.
Every night. And do you think Democrats should still be appearing on Fox, or should they not be appearing on Fox?
It contributes to the mental health crisis in the state. So on the basis of one's own personal conditions, I would not recommend it. My staff is quite literally tried to have interventions with me about it. They say I'm too obsessed with it, but I need to understand it.
You want to know what the other side thinks?
I don't want to know what they think. I want to see the patterns, and what you see are patterns that emerge.
Conservative news outlets are dividing the country, creating an illusion that crime is out of control. An illusion, he says. I take that as a personal attack. I guess you could call me right-wing media. I'll take the label and run with it. Apparently, all the reporting that we've done in all of these instances has all been fake news, a conspiracy theory. I'm doing all this work to establish right-wing talking points. No, you absolute lunatic. I'm simply using my eyeballs. Crime is completely out of control in places like Chicago, New York City, St. Louis, almost every metropolitan area in California. Portland, Oregon is getting completely out of control, and even Seattle. Speaking of Seattle, Gavin Newsom wants you to believe that none of this crazy stuff is actually happening. Democrat cities are safer than ever, and really it's just a right-wing talking point. He wants you to believe that, when homeless people in Seattle are on the streets with axes pursuing and intimidating reporters.
Why you coming with an axe at me? Why you coming with an axe? Why you coming at me with an axe?
Perfectly normal, folks. This kind of stuff has been normalized. Homeless people wielding axes. Here's a madman smashing New York City McDonald's with an axe who was recently just released without bail. Here's a New York City madman threatening New York City strap hangers with a switchblade, threatening to remove their body part. Here's another madman riding around on a motorbike in New York City who just indiscriminately shot into a crowd and took the life of an 87-year-old elderly person. Many of these people, especially in the instances that aren't fatal, these people just released back onto the streets without bail. You know, Bill Maher actually mentioned this on his show a couple months ago.
Seems like crime is kind of out of control. I was reading that in New York, a third of all the shoplifting cases are by 327 people in a city of 8 million because they keep getting returned to the streets, which has to be terrible for the morale of the cops, that they keep arresting people and the same people. It's Groundhog Day for them. I mean, I know we have problems with the cops. I've certainly not been shy about talking about them on this show, but I don't understand how we're going to get this situation under control unless they feel like what they do has some meaning as opposed to just a turnstile.
The same 327 people are responsible for a third of all shoplifting cases in New York, and they're back on the streets over and over and over again. The Democrat revolving door justice system is what we've called it. It's real, harmful Democrat policies. That's what it is. The legalization of drugs out in the open, the legalization of shoplifting, mentally ill, completely unstable, armed individuals on the streets being re-released over and over again. And Gavin Newsom has the audacity to claim that it's just a right-wing talking point. It's not a right-wing talking point. It's reality for people living in Democrat cities. If it was a right-wing talking point, and that's all it was, just propaganda, well then maybe headlines like this wouldn't exist. New poll finds that a third of Seattle residents are considering leaving the city due to crime and cost of living. A new poll has found that a third of people living in Seattle are considering leaving the city. Seattle has always been considered a progressive city, but things really broke down during the George Floyd riots and the pandemic. The presence of Antifa in the city has seemed ongoing ever since. Combine that with crime and the high cost of living, you have a perfect recipe for losing population. 1/3 of Seattle residents are considering packing up and moving elsewhere, largely citing home prices and crime, according to a Seattle Times/Suffolk University poll conducted in June. Roughly 33% of Seattle residents say that they are seriously considering moving out of the city. 37% blame rising housing costs, and 34% cite public safety as their main reason for why they want to leave. People don't feel safe in Democrat cities, and Gavin Newsom wants you to believe that it's because of Fox News and Tucker Carlson, who he doesn't even want to say his name. What a freaking clown. 34% of the population in Seattle, a place that votes Democrat at a rate of 75%, well, those people are just right-wingers that are brainwashed by Fox News. I mean, mathematically, obviously, it doesn't correlate because it's crazy. It's copium, but most importantly, it's a dishonest BS excuse. Democrat policies have done this, and their response, literally, once again, is that they're not the problem. Their policies aren't the problem. The real problem is you. You know, another Democrat talking point that we've heard quite often: Joe Biden's failures in office. All of Joe Biden's failures in office. Consumer confidence, the lowest it's been in decades. Over 70% of the population believe the country is headed towards the wrong track. And Joe Biden is on the record claiming that actually the problem isn't him, his policies, and all the venom and division that they inject into the public discussion. No, the problem is that after the pandemic, people are just pessimistic and depressed and have an inability to be happy. The problem isn't their policies, the problem is the voter. The problem isn't Gavin Newsom's failure to implement common sense public safety policy. No, the problem's Tucker Carlson and his accurate representation and accurate reporting on out-of-control, crime-ridden cesspools that are Democrat cities. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You can't park your car in San Francisco without your window being smashed. You can't open a small brick-and-mortar business without being looted and robbed, or having homeless people, do their business at your front entrance. You can't take the New York City subway system without being hyper-vigilant over your surroundings, because woke, lunatic, leftist, out-of-their-mind progressive policies have prioritized the criminal over the law-abiding, tax-paying citizen. And even in places like New York City, where a crazed crazed lunatic threatens people's lives, and someone like Daniel Penny steps in to subdue that individual, well, if you step in and do the job that they refuse to do, and if it ends badly, they're gonna prosecute you in an attempt to destroy your life, not to mention they're gonna label you a racist in the media while they do it. Welcome to Clown World 2023, where all of this stuff is perfectly normal, and you're a crazy conspiracy theorist for not accepting it as the new status quo. It's all just so surreal, isn't it? That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.